Let's dive right into this explainer with a pretty wild scenario. Have you ever stopped to wonder why two people living in the exact same city, dealing with the exact same economy, can end up with completely different financial results over their lifetimes? I mean, one person might be stressed about money every single month, while the other just seems to build wealth almost on autopilot.
You'd probably guess it all boils down to the size of their paychecks, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It is absolutely not just about income. To put this into perspective, staggering statistics show that 70% of lottery winners go completely broke within 5 years. There's no way it's just luck either. And surprisingly, it isn't always formal education. I mean, some of the wealthiest folks out there never even set foot on a college campus.
So what is the secret sauce? It actually comes down to mental models. It's the entire framework of how you think about money, the specific questions you ask yourself daily, and the real-world decisions those questions lead to. Today, we're going to uncover the 8 fundamental differences in how wealthy people think compared to, well, everyone else.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll group these 8 differences into a few core themes, like acquiring assets, rethinking time, using leverage, and framing risk. And finally, we'll wrap up with a super practical daily financial checklist.
All right, let's jump straight into our first core theme, acquiring assets over stuff. Robert Kiyosaki hit the nail on the head with this brilliantly simple definition. An asset pays you, while a liability immediately starts taking money away from you. Think about it. Most people get $1,000 and immediately blow it on liabilities. A brand new phone, a fancy dinner, maybe a designer jacket. It feels amazing for about a week, but then that money is just gone forever. A wealth builder, on the other hand, asks one powerful question. How do I make this money bring me more money? They funnel it into an index fund, a small business, or something that actually pays them back.
And this naturally leads us to the lifestyle trap. Most people focus entirely on getting a raise. But here's the catch. When their salary grows, their spending habits grow right alongside it, basically keeping their net worth hovering near zero. But the wealthy, they focus on the math where wealth equals assets minus liabilities. They are obsessed with building stacks of assets that earn cash entirely independent of their day job.
So, how do you measure real wealth? I absolutely love this concept. It's called the beach test. It brilliantly exposes your true net worth. If you packed up, went to the beach, and stopped working today, how long could you survive on your assets alone? If you can survive indefinitely without clocking in, you've completely mastered this game. Your wealth isn't your salary. Your wealth is the amount of time your assets can buy you.
Moving right along, let's hit our second theme, rethinking time and money. This is the silent wealth killer most folks don't notice until it's way too late.
Most of us are taught to trade our hours for dollars. It's a hard on and off switch. If you sleep, take a holiday, or get sick, your income literally drops to zero. But wealth builders see it differently. They intentionally decouple their time from their income by building systems. Think rental properties, dividend portfolios, or automated businesses that keep cutting them checks while they're fast asleep.
Warren Buffett famously said, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." Now that sounds a bit gloomy, but it's not pessimism. It's just pure math. Your time on this earth is strictly finite, so your income streams must eventually become totally independent of your physical effort. You trade time for money early on to build capital, sure, but then you use that capital to build passive assets until you're truly free.
This next one is literally a mind trick. When faced with a big cost, saying, "I can't afford it," is a full stop. Boom, your brain shuts down, end of story. But simply asking, "How can I afford it?" that's like turning a key in a lock. It forces your brain to hunt for creative financial solutions, dream up new side projects, or rethink your budget. That one little shift in vocabulary literally changes what becomes possible for you.
Okay, let's shift gears to our third theme, leverage. Specifically, how the wealthy use debt and taxes totally differently than the rest of us. A lot of people hear the word debt and immediately panic. And hey, if we're talking about a credit card charging 22% interest just to buy clothes that go down in value, they are absolutely right to panic. But the wealthy, they use good debt as a tool. They use other people's money to buy assets that generate more income than the debt actually costs. Imagine using a 6% loan to buy a property that yields double that amount in rental income. They're using debt as a lever to lift way heavier assets than they could ever lift with just their own cash. Now look at this chart, because the difference here is honestly staggering. Regular employees earn their money, have taxes pulled straight off the top automatically, and are forced to spend whatever is left over. But business owners? They operate in reverse. They earn, they spend on legal business deductions, they reinvest to grow, and then they only pay a fraction of the tax on the little bit that's left over. On the exact same $100,000 income, a business owner can legally keep $16,000 more per year. That is a game changer.
Let's head into our final conceptual theme, framing risk and learning. This is the mindset that makes all those previous strategies actually work.
You know, a lot of folks think avoiding risk is the safest bet. But think about it. Hiding your cash in a savings account earning a measly 2% while inflation is running at 4%, that basically guarantees you are losing purchasing power over time. Doing nothing has a very real cost. Ironically, the safe choice is mathematically riskier than putting your money in a calculated, well-diversified index fund. Wealthy people don't run from risk, they just learn how to manage it. As Buffett perfectly puts it, risk comes from not knowing what you are doing. Ignorance is the real danger here. If you actually take the time to educate yourself about an asset class, your risk drops off a cliff. Knowledge is literally the ultimate insurance policy against losing your shirt. And that brings us to how these two groups view their own personal education. For a lot of people, when school is out forever, the learning just stops. But for wealth builders, learning is an absolute obsession, and it compounds exactly like their money does. Think about it. A $20 book could spark one single idea that changes a major financial decision, yielding a $10,000 return down the line. That is the highest ROI you can possibly get anywhere.
All right, Section 5, the Daily Financial Checklist. Let's make this actionable.
So here is a super practical checklist you can use to start replacing your liabilities with assets. You got things like reviewing yesterday's spending, calculating your net worth monthly, and reading just 10 pages of finance material daily. Now don't panic, you absolutely do not have to tackle the whole shebang today. Let's just focus on a simple 30-day step-by-step plan. Over the next month, audit your spending to find just one bad liability. Maybe it's a streaming service you never watch, or an expensive daily coffee habit. Cancel it. Then take that exact dollar amount and automate it right into an income-generating asset, like a fractional share of an index fund. That one simple move will instantly start rewiring your brain from a consumer to an owner.
Ultimately, the gap between a life of constant financial stress and a life full of options isn't just about the money you happen to be born with. It's about information. And the best part, the information we talked about today is entirely free. This wealth mindset is just a fork in the road, and you have the power to choose which path to take, starting today.
So, I want to leave you with this one final thought to spark your journey. Take a hard, honest look at yourself right now. Which of these 8 differences actually describes how you operate today? And more importantly, what is the single difference you are going to commit to changing first? Let me know. Because when you change how you think, you completely change what you build.